Welcome to Pokemon Secret Base. This is IGN's show all about the world of Pokemon. I'm your host, Kallie, and I'm joined by Miranda Sanchez.
Hello.
And Andrew Goldfarb.
Hi.
Today we're talking about the Pokemon Go update, big changes coming to Pokemon Sun and Moon, and explaining what the heck Z-moves are. First off, I just want to thank all of you so much for supporting the show. We just had our first episode, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. So just continue to let us know in the comments, share with your friends, and let us know what we want to see going forward so we can keep making this for you. So let's get right into it. Pokemon Go update. I think the big thing is they removed the little feet.
The feet!
And the feet were so cute. I like the feet just like as a general paw print concept.
Right.
It's not like they really helped anyway.
Right, so the tracking system was broken.
Yes.
So basically, I was able to track Pokemon at the very beginning. So when it first came out, I tracked it Ghastly, and it was awesome. And then for a while, it just broke, and it was just 3 feet, I believe. For a long time.
It seems since the first update, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of just turned off that feature. From what I've heard from people saying, maybe it's just server stress, like maybe having that location knowledge is just a little too much for them.
Yeah.
With the worldwide launches, they've tried to launch more and more places, and that's really unfortunate because it's such a big part is like hunting down the Pokemon and trying to find them. It's not like we can just like look and say, well, there's a Pokemon over there.
Yeah, and like that was such a cool, like the first week that felt like a really cool way to make it feel like they're real. Like I know Alana, who we work with, was talking about that first week. She would be with someone else and they'd look down and they're like, okay, there's a Wartortle somewhere. And they'd start in the same place and they'd walk in opposite directions. And then when one of them went down to 2 feet, they'd be like, this way, and then they'd like move on. And like that's such like a cool interactive way to feel like they're real.
Yeah, and honestly, it has kind of like dampened my excitement to go out and search. Like, I mean, like I still open the app when I'm walking. Like I'll walk to go get food or something at the end of the day, or during lunch or something. And I have it out, and I'll catch Pokemon that I see. But like I saw a Wigglytuff, and I don't have that one yet. And I'm kind of getting up there in the Pokedex, not nearly as close as you are, but we'll get to that in a second. But I was like, I know it's around here somewhere, but I'm never gonna find it. I'm just gonna go to where I was going.
Yep.
And it hasn't really, I still want to collect, but that's been a big bummer for me. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's just like once the Pokemon is listed past that first row, then I feel like there's no chance of me finding them because I have no idea how far away they are, what direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would almost rather not know. Like honestly, like at the point where I see a silhouette and I'm like, okay, cool, there's a Snorlax somewhere, like it's just like sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way they've kind of lost their sense of presence just because it feels like they're just, well, you might have a random Pokemon pop up. That's cool.
Yeah, and I mean,
right.
so for me, like I'm at 133 in the Pokedex as of right now.
Nice.
Hopefully further by the time this airs.
Wow.
That was weird. But I'm to the point where like it is totally unlikely that just walking around the city I will find one of the ones I need. And so for me at this point, without tracking, without having any idea, like when I do have that rare occasion where I'm like, oh, like something I need is nearby, without any kind of tracking, I kind of don't even bother. Because at this point, like the only realistic way I'm going to get stuff is from eggs. Is from just walking around, which is why I keep breaking my foot and getting sunburned and walking around.
I really want to bring this up because you told this story on Up at Noon, one of IGN's other shows, but you were tracking a Pokemon, sort of. You were looking for a Dragonair, but you couldn't track it at the time because the tracking feature was broken. So how did you do it, and how did you end up falling off?
So I was on
here.
I was on Embarcadero, and so I saw it in the nearby thing, and then people were like yelling about it, and they were like on the other side of the thing I was on. So I went to step up onto concrete, and I was looking down at my phone, and I walked into stuff, so I fell down.
Oh, so you heard people talking, they had already seen it. So that's how you found it.
It's like here in San Francisco, it's like even with a little bit of the interest going down now post-update, it's still like a really social thing where you see people playing all the time and talking about it.
Yeah, I saw some people calling out a squirrel the other day, and I was like, oh, gotta stop.
Yeah, so even without tracking, you can kind of still hear other people talking about it. That happened to me too. I heard people saying there were 2 Squirtles in an area, and like 3 people in the immediate vicinity pulled out their phones.
Yeah, it's like a commercial. It's like someone yells out like Charizard, and like 30 people like running to get the Charizard.
But it's real life.
Yeah.
I have seen like people have been really upset. Somebody tweeted at me kind of upset about like directed towards Niantic for removing this feature. I don't think it's going to be permanently removed because this is something they advertised in the first trailer.
Yeah.
That live action trailer we saw, it actually had the meters, and we were all in the field test and it had meters listed, not little feet icons. So it seems like it's always been something they wanted to do, and maybe Miranda, you were right, it's a server overload or some sort of issue like with that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see. I know one part of the update too is that they changed the nests, like the Pokemon spawn points. So that's also been hard because now I had like a reliable Electabuzz area, and now I'm just like, that's definitely not reliable anymore.
You were near Electabuzz?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was in
softball park.
Oh dang, I have like a Pidgey nest.
I was near Shelder because I live near the water, and I have 47 Shelder candy. So I was one away from evolving to Cloyster, and now all the nests are different. And I'm like, well, where am I going to get my last Shelder now?
From an egg, probably.
I mean, that's my thing. Like for me, like this weekend I got super sunburned because I just walked and hatched a bunch of 10K eggs, and like all of them were Eevee and Magmar, which is dumb. But like still, I am trying to hatch eggs on the off chance that I'll get like one of those last things I need. And to me, that's like now weirdly become the core of the game. Is that like, you know, they removed the third-party trackers, which was kind of my backup plan for like cleanup to like get the last one I need.
Right.
And then they removed the in-game tracking. So for me, it's like if maybe dumb luck, I'll be lucky enough to bump into one I need. But like most likely, eggs are my game.
Your end game, kind of.
Yeah, so you play now.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to ask you. Basically, like you are so close to the end, and not having tracking, it's changed the way you play, but it doesn't seem like it's impeding you playing because you're going out and you're getting sunburned.
Yeah, very sunburned.
Breaking yourself.
Yeah.
Putting my body in harm's way for Pokemon. Yeah, and I mean, I play sort of in that like casual way of like, I'm not doing gyms, I'm not really battling, I'm just in it for the collection part. And so for me, like, yeah, like I'm getting to sort of my like personal end game, because there are so many play styles in this, which is kind of what I like about the app. I think it's fun that like you could just have 6 ultra strong Pokemon and never capture anything else, or you can kind of go and like have everything by type or everything, and I think that's fun. For me, it hasn't really impeded my playing, but I know I'm gonna hit a wall. I know like pretty soon there will be a day where I don't get any new Pokemon, and that's when I think it'll get harder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're kind of rounding that corner.
Almost there,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah, so far I've gotten at least one new thing every day since the app's been out.
Wow. So
Dang.
when you hit the max capacity outside of legendaries and all of that, do you think you'll try to do gyms, or will you just kind of
maybe
stop?
Or I can see myself still trying to hatch eggs for that like super off chance of getting a Farfetch'd or getting like the region exclusive ones, and then even if I drop off entirely, I'm sure when they announce whatever the event is to get Mewtwo or like the legendaries, like I will probably get sucked back in.
Yeah. The other thing from that update, maybe on the more positive side, because I know a lot of people were really upset about them removing the feet tracking, is you can customize your person again.
Yep.
I was so happy because I messed up my hat, and now my hat matches my outfit. And it's a minor thing, but it means a lot to me.
It's important. The Pokemon are gonna like you more if you match.
I also know some people like to match their outfits with their team.
Yes.
And so I didn't really plan for that when I went in. I have a mix of like red and blue attire, and I'm still gonna keep it because I think I like how it looks.
Yeah.
But now those people who didn't like what their outfits were, now they can match their team.
That was me too. I was all in yellow, and then I chose Mystic, so I was like, well, this is weird. This is off-brand.
I really hope this is setting up for more items in the game for customization, because it's a big thing I wanted.
That's a good kind of jumping off point, is what updates or what features would you want to see in future updates, in addition to kind of returning that tracking, because I think a lot of people, including myself, I would really like that. But customization I know is a big one for you.
Yeah, I want those medals we have to mean something. So you keep unlocking these medals, and it's like almost by trainer type, because like there's like School Kid and all these other ones, like Bug Catcher.
Golden Punk Girl.
Yeah. So it's like, why that'd be so cool if the Pokemon I caught kind of like reflected what kind of trainer I was, and I could do that with, you know, your items, which are put on display whenever you are in the gym. So why not?
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And I think the medals as they are right now are essentially an achievement system. Like they're sort of there for like, hey, you did this, congrats. But I agree that it would be cool to get, even if it was as simple as like, oh, if you get 30 bug types, you get a shirt with a Beedrill on it, or like something, like some kind of cool like way to reflect what you've done would be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that would also tie in, I would need some social sharing then, so people can see like,
your
outfit.
outfit.
I'm a punk girl to the max. That cool pink punk girl hair.
I feel like your aesthetic in general just kind of says that though.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is still batch transfer. I really like what they did in the update where you don't have to scroll down anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was always like, I would open it and I would go to hit transfer, and then the map would pop up and it would like mess up for a second. Whereas now it's an easy button press, which is cool. I would love to see them just from my Pokemon list let me like, kind of like iOS, like with photos, where you can like select all and then
check a bunch and say like, I don't need any of these Zubats or whatever.
And transfer takes a long time.
Yeah, and especially like I tend to, again, like I walk around, so I'll have like and maybe I spent some money on some incubators. So I'll have like a bunch of incubators, and I'll have like a bunch of eggs hatch at once, and I'll just want to grind through them to see if I got anything, and I have to go back and like one by one be like, okay, I got like 9 Weedles and an EV or whatever it is, and I go through and transfer those.
That's like a worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's pretty much an every time scenario, but yes.
Yes, but anyway, we got to move on. Speaking of changes, there's a lot of changes coming to Sun and Moon. So Sun and Moon are getting a lot of new features, new Pokemon, and kind of different forms and different things for existing Pokemon. So I'm really excited, especially for the Alola forms. And before this, Andrew and I were talking about how does that work with Pokemon Bank? And that's like the big question is, Alola forms are really cool. So for people who don't know, kind of old Pokemon, the only Pokemon we saw with Alola forms were first generation Pokemon. So Executor gets really tall, which I think is
weird.
clever because it's like regions, like tropical, appropriate. It's appropriate for the region, so it makes a lot of sense. And I like that they're kind of doing that world building with it. Like, you know, this region has a different culture and a different set of
So the way this
climates.
Pokemon would grow is different.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. And then for some reason, Vulpix and Ninetales and Sandshrew and Sandslash are all ice because they like adapted to the islands or something.
That's the weirdest part of it, is that the types are changing. Like Executor gets Dragon type, I think, and Sandslash is Steel, and then Ninetales is Fairy. Like that's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's and Ice.
And Ice,
But
yeah.
it's interesting adding that kind of twist to what they were.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this because the one thing that we were talking about earlier that I mentioned is Pokemon Bank. Like, does an Alola Vulpix stay in Alola Vulpix, or does the Vulpix you have like adapt? I feel like be the former.
Or maybe like a stone, like, because my thing is like if I do have a Vulpix or a Sandshrew, like when I evolve, is there some way I can like give them something that will make them evolve into the new version of Ninetales? Or
I don't think they would. I think it'd make more sense because this is like region specific. Like if you look at like this one has adapted to this climate,
it would have to have been living there.
It wouldn't change all of a sudden just because you're in this region.
Fair point.
Which means like the first question I had when I saw these is this: how is this going to affect how that Pokemon battles? Because I don't know if stats are changing along with types. Like if Vulpix and Ninetales are more special oriented than physical. I might have that backwards, but I don't remember. The like ice type moves, you have to pick the right ice type moves, and like how do you incorporate stats into that, and then also just how do you incorporate Pokemon Bank. So those are like 2 big questions, but I'm really excited for those changes. And that was like probably the biggest thing for me from the most recent Sun and Moon trailer, even though there was a lot of stuff, including Pokeride. It's Pokemon ride sharing.
I love that. It's like so cute too. Like,
so it's the continuation of Soar Over Hoenn, the feature from Oris, where you can get on a Latias and not have to use the HM fly. And it actually takes longer, but you get to explore the sky. So Pokeride seems like maybe you'll be able to explore different areas that you might not be able to get to on foot or something. There's potential there, but also the potential to eliminate HMs, which is my secret goal, my Team Rocket goal. No more HMs.
That would be really nice to not have to take the inventory slot. Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, I always have to think, it's like, okay, well, who's gonna fly? It's like, I don't really want this, but I need it.
Like, okay, I'll catch a Furret and I'll, teach it all these moves or whatever, a Linoon, and I'll teach it everything.
I mean, I like it. It's funny because they showed like Charizard. I think they showed Tauros, if I remember right.
Yes.
And it's smart that they're with that and with the new Alola types, they're leaning into the original 150 a little bit.
Yeah.
And given Red, Blue, and Yellow earlier this year and now Go, that feels really smart because like awareness feels so high right now on those.
Yeah.
And so like you would imagine that like if even a tiny percentage of Pokemon Go players who haven't played the RPG want to come over, like that's a good way to get them.
Yeah, it's a lot more friendly to them, especially. It's like I talked with so many people who are just playing Pokemon Go and haven't played any other Pokemon property or game, or seen the shows or anything. And so like having that familiarity is probably a lot more welcoming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, it's a really clever way to build up the world of Pokemon, because Pokemon games, they have stories, but the stories are like, I don't want to say weak, but they're just lacking in some development, especially in the lore area, and that's kind of been a more recent thing, especially with the add-on epilogue to Oris. They have that whole dragon people doing dragon stuff. I forget their names, but they're doing cool dragon things. But I think it's just really, it's a really thoughtful idea to say, you know, Pokemon have jobs, and canonically Pokemon have jobs, and it's like a dog with a job. Like, it's just better. Like, giving a Charizard a job and saying, you know, this Charizard is not your Charizard, but you can partner up with it.
He'll come help you out.
Yeah, he's going to be your friend. He's your buddy, and maybe he'll snub you a little bit like Ash's Charizard, but who knows?
Hopefully, he's professionally trained to not do that. Like, he knows to treat his clients well.
I mean, this kind of ties into, if you remember in the one of the first, I think the teaser trailer, you see there's trucks and there's a Blastoise doing like firefighter stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just makes a lot of sense that this would be Pokemon with jobs sorts of things.
Because in society, like if Pokemon are everywhere and if everyone has their own and if there's some that are stronger than others, like it makes sense that they would have them in the same way that like humans had horses pulling carts or doing things like that, like, or sled dogs or
a dog getting your paper or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Machamp, I think, does moving. Either Machoke or Machamp moves boxes. That's like in Ruby and Sapphire. Yeah. So all of that. But moving on, because those are probably two of the big things from the most recent trailer. And then the third I want to highlight is the trials, which is sort of this weird. Like, I've never really seen this in a Pokemon or like a mainline Pokemon game. But it's these separate sort of quests, and there's something called Totem Pokemon that you kind of challenge as a mini boss. And it's just very unique. It's different from gyms. I don't know if it's replacing gyms.
It doesn't seem like that because it seems they said that you still have like the Kahuna. So it's like you have these totems, and then once you beat them, you can challenge the Kahuna. So it's, I guess, the gym leaders of the region for this challenge that they have.
Yeah. I don't know if it's in addition to or it supplants it in some way. Yeah. It's interesting because not all of them are in battle. You don't challenge all of them. Sometimes it's like finding items or doing other quests. And this is, again, the three big things from this trailer are all building up the culture of Alola in a really unique way. And I'm so excited to see how that translates to the games, because if this is this totally different cultural experience from the other regions, the Japan-based regions, and then Unova and France. It's France, yeah. It's France. I'll remember like in 10 minutes and then I'll shout it out. It's been a long day, but those have very similar structures, and I like that they're deviating from it without totally replacing the idea of like challenging something and becoming better, maybe, but you're doing it in a different way. And then I just really quickly want to touch back on older announcements, because I think a lot of us are really excited for some of these, one of them being the Pokemon QR scanner.
Yes.
Yeah, Miranda, you were the one who was excited for this.
I'm very excited for the potential of finding Pokemon and adding my Pokedex through just QR codes.
Yeah, so I had sort of forgotten about this because this was an afterthought sort of to another trailer, but you can scan QR codes and see where they live.
Right, so the weird thing too is that you can scan anything, I'm guessing, because on the little teaser art that they have, this kid is just like toppled over in his bedroom and he's like scanning, I guess, like a bottle and just like something online, and it's just like, so the potential is really cool. But
I want to scan like an old plastic bottle and know where like Garbodor lives. I think that'd be really funny.
Yeah, and even if they do like McDonald's toys again or something, like you can very easily like tie it in promotionally.
So one thing I'm worried or interested in is how people could abuse that system too, because like there's so many ways just to generate QR codes. So like what stops that, or what makes them different? I know you can also generate your own QR codes to share Pokemon you've caught with your friends. It's like, hey, you can look at this if you haven't found it, and then they can kind of pinpoint where that habitat is for the Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm excited all around how different this feels like it'll be, like, because that like does change the ecosystem a little bit, where it's not just like you get stuff in game and then there's a GameStop event once a month. Like there's actually going to be some interesting ways to get extra stuff. And then like with the gyms and the Kahunas, it's like there have always been like kind of each gym is a little themed differently, like find the switch or like fight in the specific order or whatever it is. Expanding that to proper mini games is exciting in the same way that I think this is really cool, where like maybe it changes how you're getting Pokemon or how you're doing events and stuff like that.
I mean, it definitely facilitates finding and filling out your Pokedex, and I think that's like the big thing for it, because it is
there's a
very time consuming to do that.
Yeah, in addition to wonder trading, I think it'll help a lot.
My first thought was trading card game too. Like it makes a lot of sense that like if you get a card in the trading card game, maybe not every one of them has a QR code, but the ones that do, you can have straight in the game or something like that.
Yeah, something to tie in other parts of the franchise would make a lot of sense. And then we talked about this on the previous episode, which you can find on IGN.com. But the other things I'm excited for are hyper training. Hyper training is just a really promising thing to me to be able to kind of tweak your Pokemon's IVs, especially for Pokemon that you are hard to breed or you can't breed, like legendaries. Which helps with battle because I love competitive battle. And then Battle Royale, we didn't talk about too much, but I want to talk about that a little bit because it's very interesting. It's like a free-for-all, 4-player, and I feel like a lot of people in the IGN office especially would mess with each other and gang up on somebody.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, it's all play, but then we all have a secret plan and team up against one person or something.
It's Andrew. We're going to team up.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm going to conspire with you. But yeah, so I'm wondering, I'm just excited to see how that unfolds because I feel like the rules are one way, and then people are just going to find different ways to play it and just make it crazy.
For sure.
So that's another thing. And then the Pokemon Global Link, they're updating it. We talked about this in the previous episode, but I think that's really cool, just being able to facilitate your own competitive games. And I really would want to do one in the office too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And probably one with the show.
Ooh.
Okay.
Good tease.
Promising.
Yes. But there's one big thing from the trailer that we didn't mention, and that's Z moves. So what are Z moves? What the heck do they do?
It's when you spell moves with a Z, like rats or horses.
Rad. Yeah, so basically, I found this interesting because they did hint at this in the previous trailer before the actual announcement of Z moves, because I saw them, and it's like this kind of like dance thing that resembles Mega Evolution, and it works a similar way. So it's like, you can only use it once per battle, and instead of being specific to a species, it's specific to a type.
Yeah, and I'm so curious how that works even in terms of like the UI and the HUD, because like we were talking about this a little bit earlier. It's like if you have a Megastone in like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and you want to have whatever, Mega Mewtwo or whatever it is, you hit it at the beginning of a battle or at some point in the battle, and they evolve, and then you're good, you're in your Mega form.
Yeah.
I wonder if this replaces that, or if this is an addition.
Yeah, I wonder if it stacks, basically, because that could get immensely powerful.
Right.
And I'm wondering how it affects battle from like the bottom up. So even just like playing the main game, like in the trailer we see it being used on like a Rowlet, which seems like overkill a little bit.
It was a little overkill. All those moves look pretty overkill though.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Extreme. One looked like a nuclear explosion. I was like, wow.
The Bloom one especially, it's like the whole thing is like filled with flowers. And, like,
so there's 4 that have been announced. It says in the trailer that they're going to have them for every type, but we only saw 3, of course, for fire, water, grass, and electric, which makes sense. There's 3 starters in Pikachu. So electric is Gigavolt Havoc, which is just it was like an explosion.
It's like a cool band name too.
Hello, Los Angeles, we're Gigavolt Havoc. Bloom Doom, which is my memoir's name, is the grass one. Inferno Overdrive, which sounds...
Never mind, that's the band name.
That's the band name. I think they're all band names, actually. And then Hydro Vortex.
Nice.
So these are the...
That's a jet ski game.
Like, too edgy for me. Yeah. Very edgy Pokemon move names. But I am very curious to see, especially just how you would use it in the main game, if you're challenging the kahunas, or if it maybe has something to do, like I want the lore explanation for like why this is a thing.
It seems like an easy win button, like based on what we saw of how crazy powerful they were, and that's kind of something I don't want. It's
well,
like
I'm wondering if it's affected by Protect. If you use Protect, will it hit? Or if you use Wide Guard or any number of self-protection moves.
I mean, there must be a way to mitigate it somehow, because like you said, if it's like a win button, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's like a Pokemon's ultimate, and it's weird. Do you have to charge it up? Like, what are the parameters for using this? Because if it's like a Mega Evolution and you need an item for it, that could be kind of abused.
I would hope it's almost like a fighting game, like a special thing where like you build up throughout the match, and if it's a super long match, you get enough meter where you can use it.
Yeah, I hope it's like an ultimate move, like you have to charge it.
Because if you could just use it at the beginning of a battle, like a Mega Evolution, it's like, well, that's not fun.
I guess the game's over. Beat it so fast.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, like, so I want to know how this is factored into the competitive rules, because competitive kind of bans certain things. Soldew is an item that is not allowed in competitive play. So if this is item based, it could feasibly be banned if it kind of imbalanced the metagame too much. So that's like questions that just weren't answered by the trailer.
If it were up to me, I would say this probably isn't going to be in competitive
I
play.
would-
It looks a little too
It's really OP.
OP.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, this is a little too heavy. Maybe not.
We should mention too that there's like a toy they're going to sell that
Yes.
like
Yes. I
Tony's
wanted to
making
bring
this
that
thing.
up.
It's like a bracelet you'll put on. It has these crystals on it that represent each type.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow, I don't think they said exactly how,
Yeah.
it'll interact with your game and it'll like light up when you use that specific type or whatever.
I feel like it'd be the Amiibo scanner thing. That's like maybe how
Oh,
it
the
connects.
NFC.
The NFC,
Yeah.
That makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I don't know how that would be incorporated or what benefit it would have. Like what?
It's probably just a cute light up
Yeah, that's
thing.
from what I read. It seems like it just lights up and vibrates and like kind of plays along with your game. So if you want to feel like the trainer and
So
do
like
the moves,
that yokai watch.
It's a lot.
That there
honestly,
yokai watch.
The yokai watch is the first thing I thought of when
Yeah,
they showed this
yeah.
thing
Oh,
because it's
me too.
exactly like it feels like that. It feels like a thing that just lets you, as a kid or as an old man, can feel like you're part of it. And I think it's totally cute that they do stuff like that. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean that would have delighted me as a kid. I mean, I had a toy Pokedex that I would carry around, and it didn't do it. It would just recite things back at me,
Yeah,
like
just-
Pidgey, the bird Pokemon. You know, like it's not.
cute encyclopedia.
It doesn't
Keep in your
do
pocket.
anything, but I loved flipping it out and being like, "My Pokedex says it's a Pidgey," you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can imagine, especially as a kid, just being like, you know, now I got my crazy Z moves.
I
And
feel like the design though for the one in game is way cooler than the actual one you buy.
yeah.
They look very
Yeah,
different.
the real one
Yeah.
is like it has like all of these different colored lights on it. It reminds me of like there were like pens in school where there's like a little thing you flick down that has like
I
all the different
love
colors.
those.
Yeah.
I want to
cool
like
pens.
I want somebody to like rave with it, you know, like do the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, they totally will. And like
Yeah.
cosplayers will obviously like this thing and I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll become big.
Yeah, I'm interested. There's a lot of unanswered questions with Z moves that I am excited to get answers to.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yes. Just to wrap up, we have a new segment for all of you. It's called "Who's That Pokemon?" Surprise, surprise.
Whoa!
Good name. Did you call it? That's such a smart name. That's
Wow.
really clever.
Brilliant. Basically, every week we want to kind of highlight a Pokemon and do different trivia, and I might kind of spotlight Pokemon that you don't really think about. But today is going to be a nice softball one. I'm looking at
I couldn't
Andrew
get it.
because he didn't know the answer. Just one to warm you up in the spirit of first generation tie-ins in Pokemon Go. That's a big hint. Name this Pokemon. It is the first Pokemon, not the first Pokemon, the only fully evolved Fire-type Pokemon to not learn Solar Beam. Raise your hand if you know the answer.
Well, now I know the answer.
Well, now
I got it wrong.
because I told you. But yeah, so let us know in the comments, on Twitter, everywhere. If you know the answer, I hope you do. And if you don't, that's okay too, because
Have fun next week.
it
Next
can
time.
be tricky. Yeah.
And
yeah.
then you'll learn.
And then you'll learn something.
A new wrinkle
Impress
in
your
your brain.
friends with
Yeah.
your Pokemon trivia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then maybe they won't gang up on you when you play Battle Royale. And they're very mean.
Nice tie-in, Andrew. All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 2 of Pokemon Secret Base. And again, thank you so much for the support. We're really excited to keep doing these, so let us know what you think. And we'll see you next time. Bye.